he scares the living you-know-what out of the elite power structure and the mainstream media.
That's right.
Case in point, he won the Iowa caucuses, and it's debatable, quite possibly he may have won New Hampshire. Now, if you look at that, if you rewind your tape, your mental tape, if you see the media who are swarming around the GOP primary, and you see a guy like Ron Paul win Iowa and New Hampshire, he would be the front runner, and also that would put Gingrich in the basement where he belongs. Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich were made to run by their party. I mean, Santorum couldn't even win his own state, so how the hell could he win a national election? They put them forward to create a wedge between Mitt Romney and Ron Paul. That's quite clear. Once they got rid of Herman Cain and all these other guys, they're all unelectable. Mitt Romney is the most electable out of the pack next to Ron Paul. So he was the front runner. So he's been cheated on record out of Iowa, possibly out of New Hampshire, and who knows where else. His rallies are UCLA. He got 5,000 people out.
Yeah,
that's the record.
Yeah.
Obama, these people, these are numbers that equal what Obama was getting on his campaign trail.
Sure. Well, and the GOP is freaking out. We can see, you guys are reporting, Steve Watson is reporting that the RNC is threatening to bar Nevada to stop delegates voting for Ron Paul. I mean, they're freaking out because they want to control the paradigm. And with Ron Paul, they can't. But the truth is getting out. I mean, they can't suppress this when 8, 10, 12,000 people, 4,000 people repeatedly show up at these rallies all over the country.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. National election system is a joke, okay? Our federal government spends our tax dollars flying around bombing countries into submission who apparently aren't democratic and need to embrace the values of democracy, okay? We routinely rig elections, okay? I mean, I don't know if it was George Bush Jr. or Al Gore becoming president in 2000, but on record, Al Gore won that election. He won Florida. He got the electoral votes. Debatably, Kerry won Ohio in 2004 election, and he would have been president also. So, and now we have the GOP clear fixing of the primaries, and we have an electronic voting system in America, which is the most corrupt, most hackable, even more so now because with the new agreement where they've outsourced the collation of the votes to a Spanish company, Skittle, and that company is funded, investment firm who funds the Spanish company who is counting America's votes in this election is George Soros' Nauta Capital. Yeah. That anyone can look that up. Just go to their website, look at who their partners are, look at who the investors are, look at who's on their board. George Soros has a hand in the counting of American votes now, offshore.
Sure. Well, I mean, look, this is a banana republic, and as John Perkins with his Confessions of an Economic Hitman has taught us and showed us, we're very good at running fraud elections and putting in puppets into power, and we've done it all over the planet. And now that apparatus is being turned around on the people of this country. So, I guess the bottom line is that if they can suppress Ron Paul and then they have an election, a fraudulent election between Mitt Romney and Obama, I don't personally think that Romney really stands a chance. I think that this orchestrated power grab will continue and that they want Obama for another 4 years. I think that's what we're going to get.
Yeah, no, that I think I believe that Obama has been selected. I think that the deal was set between Bilderberg or between the roundtable groups that the Democrats would get 8 years and the Republicans would get 8 years. The Democrats would get 8 years.
No.
They just get cycles of 8 years. The problem is they invested a lot of money in Obama. He's been groomed from a young age. He's got some big names behind him like Zbigniew Brzezinski,
That's right.
Henry Kissinger, and these people who he worked for out of college. He was tapped at a very young age. There's a lot of money invested, a lot of political capital invested in this guy, and he is doing his job. He's in people's faces. He is basically using the Saul Alinsky divisionary tactics, agitating, pitting people against each other. He's got nothing successful to run on, but so he's just going into the Alinsky methods to create division, to win the youth vote, to use the Occupy movement. And this is another thing I predicted on May 1st, which is my birthday, I wrote an article about Obama's Occupy movement, Part 2, and I use the word 2 because it's French, and I'm talking about the French Revolution. So that here come the Jacobins, here come the Occupy movement. Watch them. They're going to be used. It's going to be twisted in the media. It's going to become a device to help the Democrats become reelected in November. Okay, even with a rigged election, with a few scandals could really bring Obama down. Okay, but as long as if it's a close election, he'll win. It would have to be an absolute blowout for Romney to have a chance, because talking points are very much class warfare. Okay, Michelle and I, when we graduated from law school, we had a mountain debt just like you. We know who you are. I'm gonna fix that.
That's pretty good.
And
that's pretty good. It sounds just like him.
Yeah, and that's what he's gonna do. More of that, more of us and them. And if you look at the culture wars, the Mao Zedong, the big cultural war in China, the biggest device beyond class warfare. Okay, with class warfare, you have the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor. And as the Occupy movement has coined it perfectly, being used now, the 1% versus the 99%. But beyond the class war, you have the young versus old, okay? And that has been used throughout history with Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, and Bolshevik Revolution, everything. Young versus old. And this is the final frontier of the cultural war, which Obama is really kicking into high gear. So you have Occupy movement. It's Marxist.
But let me jump in. Just a couple of things here. So I hear what you're saying about the young versus the old. I mean, we know Bill Gates, has spoken to teachers talking about the case to kill grandma, and if we take grandma off, health care and let her die a graceful death, then we can hire 10 more teachers, and the teachers all applaud. I mean, we get that. The other thing I wanted to say is that I don't want anybody to misunderstand and think that what I'm saying is that if Romney gets in and can beat Obama, I think we're in good shape. I'm not saying that. I really think that the power structure won't allow him to win regardless. So for those who are putting all their eggs in the Romney basket because nobody could be worse than Obama, I think you're in for a lot of disappointment if you don't get behind Ron Paul. Okay, so moving back to this Occupy thing. I'm really concerned about this broad brush that's being used to paint the entire Occupy movement as a communist movement, because I've been down there. I was in New York. I interviewed these people. A lot of people are Ron Paul people and the Fed people, a lot of educated people. And then, to be honest with you, Patrick, there's a lot that really don't know the core issues and why our nation is in this plight, but they're decent people who just don't want the bankers to run the show. So to your point, I think the media is going to steer it and paint it with a brush. Right? I think they might steer it and make it, be more communist. But I don't think you can't identify everybody down there as a bad guy. I just don't buy it.
I agree. And I spoke at the Occupy. I was asked to speak at the Occupy movement in Occupy London before Christmas, before they were kicked off their site. And I support a lot of people down there. But unfortunately, the majority of the people I ran into, they're too eager to want to feel like they have some skin in the game, and so they will automatically align themselves with the Labor Party or the Democratic Party in the U.S. And I want to see I wanted from the first day to see the Occupy movement succeed, because I was very big in the anti-war movement in 2002, 2003. Okay, I know what it's like to get out in the street and be up there on the police lines and everything. I was at the G20 summit in London, right up on the being kettled by British police, watching people getting, battened over the head. I want to see Occupy succeed, but you know what? If Occupy really wants to succeed, they need to start growing a brain. And what I said about the anti-war movement was, the 9/11 Truth movement was an anti-war movement with a brain. But because the main anti-war movement denied any conspiracy in 9/11 and went with the official version, then by that principle, they automatically supported intervention in Afghanistan. And that is what caused the domino effect in Central Asia and the Middle East that we see now, and with Iraq, etc. So likewise, the Occupy movement must have a brain. And for the Occupy movement to have a brain, they have to attack and challenge the real engine of poverty and injustice in this country, which is the U.S. Federal Reserve.
The central bank. That's right. That's what I was going to say. And it seems to me that to grow the brain that you're describing, it's real simple. Here's the plan. You ready? This is the new manifesto for the Occupy movement.
And they need one.
This is it. This is it. Do what the Icelanders did. Swear off this ill-gotten debt, this bogus debt put on the people, through derivatives and through absolute fraud of J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs and, the IMF and all these banking oligarchs. Swear it off. Kick them out. Make arrests, and that's it. I mean, that would solve our problems. And this goes back to guys a lot smarter than me and you, named Andrew Jackson and Thomas Jefferson. By the name of God, we shall rout you out. You're a den of vipers, right? That's the crux of it. And it just is not that hard to, identify. To your point, you identified George Soros in this thing. Well, isn't he a Rothschild agent?
Yeah, he's a major financier and he's a speculator. And just a quick note on George Soros. People say, oh, George Soros, you're making him a boogeyman. Let me tell you something. Do you think George Soros got as wealthy and as powerful as he has by not being a successful speculator? And if you're a speculator, or if you're betting on football games or baseball games, whatever, if you're a speculator, what's the greatest tool to have in your toolbox if you're a speculator? It's that you can determine the outcome of an event in advance. So George Soros will put his money into markets in advance of legislation or in advance of foreign policy. And if he is instrumental in influencing, which he does with the Arab Spring and some of these foundations, the Tides Foundation, and of course with adbusters who called for the original Occupy movement. George Soros has a hand in that at the top of the food chain. Okay, he then can speculate, and he can amass more wealth. And he can amass more power and more influence. Okay, he's in that position, so now he can determine the outcome of the U.S. presidential election potentially, theoretically. Okay, that's why he's not just because he's an evil man like Austin in the Austin Powers film with his pinky in his mouth. It's not that's not why. It's because he is in a certain game, and so he has worked his way up to the top of that game, and he knows how to help influence outcomes. He broke the British pound in the 80s.
That's right.
By speculating. Okay, this is not a stupid guy. This is a very, very intelligent guy.
Well, I wish he was. I wish he were Dr. Evil, because then we could pay him off for $1 million. Just be done with it. He can have his $1 million and then just go away. Unfortunately, these guys want trillions. Patrick, can you leave us with any words of wisdom? Leave us with a glimmer of hope, will you? Because I'm telling you what, I'm about to evacuate my family out of this country if I could figure out where to go.
I will, and I'm not going to big you up or anybody else, but it is guys like you, Sean, and who are doing the real work, and I'm happy to support your work, and anyone else out there who's doing what you do or doing what I'm doing as well. I'll drive traffic to your website. If you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me through Sean at SGT, and also get active. People need to get active. Get active in your state. Find out who is pro-states' rights. Find out who is locally opposing Agenda 21 in your state, who is opposing tyranny. Let them know, if they're politicians or council members, let them know, I support you. I'm behind you. That will encourage them to keep the fight going. And also, young people need to realize they need to get involved now on their city council. They need to run for city council.
That's right.
We need pro-liberty, pro-freedom people, pro-states' rights people on local government forums, because that will slow and hopefully stall the globalist agenda, which is now reaching its dirty hands into our local lives. This is your time to step up, and all you need to be articulate, well-read, and just keep up on your research. And you will. And I've met people in Arizona who are in positions of power who are saying the same things I'm telling you right now. And that made me so excited when I was interviewing them, because I thought, wow, this isn't just us in the alternative media. This isn't just us out here in the blogosphere. These are people in office, okay, who wield some influence, and they are not backing down on these fundamental issues. And I want to see more of these people, in getting into politics, getting into local government. And this is an opportunity that's open now. You know what? We have a reason to do it now. It's not just because you want to get into politics. It's because you've got a reason to get into politics. You've got a reason to get active. Okay, this is a golden opportunity especially for a lot of young people. And most of our listeners and our readers at Infowars.com are young people or people in their 20s and 30s, and they're very active. They're very hungry. They're ready to go. This is the time to make it happen and get rid of some of these old fuddy-duddies who are sitting all over your city and local councils and local government. Go for it. You'll get the votes. You only need a few 1,000 some odd votes in some districts to win. This is real. You can do it.
That's true.
And you've got the backing of all of us. If you're out there and you want to do this, you've got my backing. You've got Sean's backing. You've got national alternative media reach that adds together aggregately in the millions. Okay, look at what you've got behind you now. Go for it. There's no jobs available in this economy. Go to work for the government.
But then do good.
Take your values with you.
Yeah.
Take your fundamental values with you. Take your knowledge with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we could use some good, honest mayors and sheriffs and Congress people and city council people. You're absolutely right. And, I'm thankful to you guys for supporting what we've done. Alex has posted and played my videos on his show in the past. You've supported the articles. You're supporting other alternative sites like shtfplan.com, The American Dream, The Economic Collapse blog, Zero Hedge. I mean, you guys are on the front lines, and you're lifting all of us up, and I want to thank you for that. And thanks for all you're doing, Patrick.
My pleasure, Sean. Appreciate it.
Okay. We look forward to speaking with you again, so let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Anytime. Just give us a call.
All right. All my best, the whole team there. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks. Take care, man.
Well, that's it, guys. Much more to come. Thanks for tuning in. And visit sgtreport.com for all the latest. Good night.